Welcome everyone. Welcome to the ESU House, and I wish to convey a special welcome to our esteemed guest, Stephen Edgar. Our next speaker, Lucas Smith, will provide a more refined introduction to Stephen. But Stephen was a judge in the 2024 ESU Formal Verse Contest. And this afternoon's gathering will feature two events. The first event is announcement of the winner, runners-up, and President's Choice in that inaugural ESU Formal Verse Contest. And secondly, the second component of our event is an end-of-year social get-together, which is an opportunity for members, friends, and guests to celebrate the achievements of the 2024 year and to look forward to the opportunities and challenges of the year to come. In terms of that second element of today's events, I thank all ESU members and friends who have contributed to the ESU's activities in 2024, whether by presenting at events, participating in award panels, advancing ideas, or assisting with activities. Thank you, one and all. Also convey my personal appreciation to Lucas Smith, our next speaker, for his initiative in developing, organising and promoting new creative writing programs, including the 2024 Formal Verse Contest under ESU's Educational and Cultural Program umbrella. I'll now hand over to Lucas to introduce the 2024 Formal Verse Contest announcements.
Thank you, Robert. My name is Lucas Smith. I'm the ESU Special Projects Officer in charge of managing the ESU Formal Verse Contest this year. This contest was conceived in recognition that living, active formalist poets, both in Australia and overseas, have for many decades now, with very few exceptions, have arguably been relegated to the sidelines of the literary culture in favor of so-called free verse. Of course, free verse has its own place and its own potential for beauty, but ultimately, I will use this relatively strong word, ultimately can't reach the glories of the type of rhythmic metrical verse that has formed the bulk of the English canon for centuries. The health of the language is best known through its poetry, and in inaugurating this contest, it is the ESU's hope to begin to rebuild the profile of formal verse within literary culture, encourage poets, including established free verse poets, to try their hands at form, and contribute to the ongoing story of English language verse. The contest received 55 entries from Australia, Canada, USA, and Germany. The short list of 14, which was...
Sorry, it's not available.
Not on the screen, that's okay. 14 was chosen by myself before being sent to final judge Stephen Edgar, who will give us his judgments shortly. Additionally, Robert Furlan, the ESU branch president, selected a President's Choice Award from among the full field of 55. So he looked at the entire body of entries. The prize amounts are $1,000 for the President's Choice Award, $1,000 each for 2 runners-up, and $5,000 for 1 winner. We're privileged to have with us tonight the judge of this contest, Stephen Edgar, who many, both here and overseas, regard as contemporary Australia's most accomplished heir of English language formalism. Stephen has published numerous books of poetry and won numerous awards, most recently the Prime Minister's Literary Award in 2021 for A Stranger's Place, New and Selected Poems. No less a critic than Clive James has said of Edgar, quote, "Even when his approach to a subject is oblique, you always get the sure sense that he's trying to light it up and make you listen to the music of what he looks at. Models of plain speech, even at their most elegant, his poems are more sheerly beautiful from moment to moment than those of any other modern poet I know of." I'd like to acknowledge all the poets who entered the contest, all of those shortlisted, and in particular, I'd like to acknowledge 3 shortlisted poets in the room tonight. We have Roger McDonald, Alex Douthwaite, and Francis Pedel. Alex and Francis will be reading their poems for us, and I'll now invite Alex Douthwaite to read his poem called Language.
Thanks, Lucas. Well, hello, everyone, and yeah, thank you, Lucas, and thank you to the union. Yeah, my poem was called Language. Appropriately enough, for a union about language. It's about the abuses of language. Yeah, language. The antediluvian race of man spoke no words, and round earth span made concord and harmonious peace, contented with his ample lease. Yet ever since feathery Hermes placed language and its heady taste upon the innocent tongue of man, swindle, theft, and forgery began. His chosen purveyors of this false art could conquer meaning like a Bonaparte, and through crafty manipulation govern the spheres through mere oration. Chief among these linguistic technicians are those that we call the politicians, who, when peddling some folly or figment, always deliver it as a commitment. Their policy frameworks improve mankind, their goals and their values are always aligned. Referring to theft as quantitative easing, they better outcomes and still sound pleasing. Second to these are those we call lawyers, the lexicographers, eternal employers, whose primary art is word inflation and changing law into legislation. The first trick of these dialecticians was to turn the word ban into prohibition, and this allowed them to do away with all the plain words they could not say. Third in our list are those we call scholars, whose trade is to alchemize thought into dollars, or dissertations on the gender of ants into 1,000-page studies of government grants. Safe in their venerable cloistered college, they sit like broody hens upon knowledge. Their golden eggs they hoard and accrue, and refer to the process as peer review. The last offender in our catalogue is not least, though forms our epilogue. What governs the wills and affections of men, it is the tip of a journalist's pen. All things are commanded at the wand's behest, as it casts incantations like studies suggest. If the sky is clear, it conjures up rains by casting spells like so-and-so claims. O Hermes, who opened mankind's throat and taught him how to lie and throat, no man ere since could the other comprehend the happy unity of the globe is ren. Each nation now broods sullenly apart, the greedy misers of the subtle art. Thy box, O Hermes, close it up, or drown it with thy merry cup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. And I'll now invite Clarence Cadell to read his poem called How It Was.
Thank you, Lucas. So, this is a piece of, what would I call it genre-wise? Domestic realism. Okay. How it was. You couldn't drink your customary cup in bed that morning, since I'd gone and got the wrong milk yet again. Well, you get up and go yourself before your daily lot of final purpose in our rundown cot must recommence, while I would shortly head to work with the job I knew you coveted. Soon as you left, sounded the screeching bale of nerves and eardrums. For our youngest child, it was as if some supernatural gale had carried you away before his wild, dilated eyes. He would not be beguiled by any bribes or blandishments I threw. I tried to feel less like a farmer who adjusts a fractious neighbour's stock. But surely he'd be about as happy to find mange had struck as you, for all the hurly-burly that I had left undone this task, to change the morning nappy. No, that would estrange you even till the evening when I find
a face making no secret of the mind. But now, because his earphones couldn't block the sensory assault, or since his game upon the thither side of the child lock went badly, our precocious eldest came to punish. And if I struggled to tame the smaller one who smeared the floor and squealed, now furthermore had to be his shield. And where was our child without a diagnosis? His reading record once again unsigned, unheard. The pantry door opens and closes. I breathed and made fierce knuckles in my mind, warning the elder. So that foul behind was cleaned and dressed. A fitful, listless wail succeeded as a bluster might begale. Now, like a little actor in the wing, I found our furtive intermediate, both sock and shoeless, and remembering his reading record, since I would be late regardless, told him, "Get your book out, mate," and sat with him, of our three troubled boys, the least acknowledged, till I heard a voice half recognised of a seducing devil that pricked my soul from underneath. Aghast I ran, and though I guess the volume level meant I was meant to hear, that I was cast to play my role, just then a truck drove past the door he'd opened, reading from the text of parents' fears and hearing how the next came rumbling up the hill. He told his brother to come and sacrifice himself if he would see again his dead and mangled mother. The way a man who comes home late may flee his circumstances alcoholically, I let myself decline into a rage of being put upon, not being a sage, and spun him round and struck him with a smack that in its firmness and in its restraint revealed a conscience that was neither slack nor taut enough. Amidst myself attaint I heard your engine, and our boy's complaint already was for your ears more than mine. I thought how in the cupboard there was wine. Our little one, excited as a pup, cried, "Mummy!" In that moment's whirligig, I knew my name to you was Buttercup, and always had been, though your judge's wig still bent pressed at the back, you wouldn't dig till later. Yes, I almost would allow I saw our future then, right up till now.
And I'd now like to invite Robert back up to present the President's Choice Award.
Lucas. To put this particular award in context, judging selections were made without identification of the author or the author's location. And my selection was done independently of Stephen Edgar's esteemed selection of the main ESU Formal Verse Prize winner and runners-up. My selection criteria, in addition to having regard to the poetic components, considered the alignment of each poem with the values of the English-speaking Union Victoria Branch. My President's Choice Award winner in this inaugural ESU Formal Verse Contest is titled "Alfstan the Illuminator Begins a Work," and the poet is Marley Humans. I'll read briefly my comments on the poem, and hopefully they will indicate the reasons for my selection of that poem. An impressive depiction of creativity, from the void of a blank page to the emergence of ideas and images embedded in life's experiences. The sparrow's flight imagery is a clever use of Bede's parable, the flashing wings of insight and inspiration, leading to a masterful illuminated expression of meaning. The poem's use of cognitive images which extend beyond the standard earthbound images of nature are sublime. Quote, "A cosmos gleaming with possibility." Quote, "The apocalypse of birth." Quote, "A cloak of endlessness." a refined and thought-provoking poem. The poem, incidentally, relates to a monk in a scriptorium preparing to draw illuminated text, if you think in terms of the Lindisfarne Gospel texts and so forth. That's the context, and I think a worthy recipient of the President's choice. And also, the poem will be available online on the ESU website for anyone interested in exploring the poem and the poet's imagery. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. I now would like to welcome Stephen Edgar to reveal the final judgments of the ESU Formal Verse Contest 2024.
So there are two runners-up and the final winner. Now, the first runner-up is, as it happens, is also Marley Humans for the poem that Robert has just mentioned. And I agree with his remarks, and I'll just read to you my own comments when I was judging the poems. I admired the ambitious scope and richly imagined details of this poem. It made me think fleetingly, though the two poems are quite different in mood and content, of Robert Browning's A Grammarian's Funeral, in its reimagining of a medieval world and ethos. The language and imagery are impressively charged and evocative, and the poem embodies the very creative process it describes, whereby the naked page is filled with the rich illuminations of the year. The second runner-up is Kevin Hart. Oh, by the way, Marley Humans lives in the United States, New York State, upstate New York. Yeah. The second runner-up is by Kevin Hart. It's called Learning Greek. Now, Kevin is from a number of places sequentially. He was born in London. He spent his adolescence in Brisbane. He went to university in Canberra at the ANU, then came to Melbourne, where he worked at Monash University. And some time ago, he moved to the United States, where he has taught at a number of universities. At present, he's in Duke University, I think, in North Carolina. So his poem is called Learning Greek. And I had this to say of it. This trance-like, indeed entrancing poem in iambic pentameter, though unrhymed, has quite different strategies. I was referring here to the winner, quite different strategies from the winning poem. Here, the closer marriage between meter and grammar establishes a mood of quiet ecstasy or yearning. Indeed, the Greek word in the poem, epektasis, literally a straining towards, tempts one to read ecstasis. The poem brought to mind Wallace Stevens' adage that the world about us would be desolate except for the world within us. The world within, represented by the two languages the poet studies, Greek and French, which inform and transform the world without for the speaker, in the end virtually recreating it. And the winning poem was by Jesse Keith Butler, who is a Canadian poet. And his poem is called No Continuing City. And I wrote, what struck and impressed me about this poem was the way the form, to some extent, enacts the content. The formal regularity of the iambic pentameter and the strict rhyme scheme, both handled with skill, are shaken and pulled apart by enjambment, which is the running on of a line from one line to the next, and sentences which lie at odds with that rigid grid, mirroring the disruptions to the city's stable forms by demolition and construction. Repetition of key words creates a sense of urgency or even panic, and literally rising above the damaged cityscape, the poem builds to a dystopian vision of the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and congratulations to our winners who will be watching this. And we will now have a video of Jesse reading his winning poem.
Continuing City by Jesse Keith Butler. For us, there's no continuing city. Road construction strips our streets raw summer long, but last year's potholes still seep through. Unload your daydreams here, then shuffle on this bus to stiffly jar down Ogilvy. You're wrong to hope these unkempt grid lines hum with pity. Expect the bus to skip your stop. For us, that's all there is. We've no continuing city. A high-rise will burst bristling from the park you played in as a child. You'll curse each truss the night spans out to frame a ribcage, dark on urban half-light. Sit back, don't ask whether developers run City Hall. For us, there are no answers. Watch them all shush by, those half-constructed towers, strung together like scarecrows, skeletal against the sky. The bus jolts you alert, some detours sent you lurching out along the highway. Rest is nowhere here. The rich live high while tent encampments fill the underpasses. Stare out past your blurred reflection. All our best intentions meet a slow death by committee. But gathered through the night just past the glare, wait remnants of the discontinued city. You've reached a new development. The bus drops you and shudders off into the dusk. There's no continuing city, not for us. Rise up through empty floors. The condo of your future's there, atop this new-built husk. Stand by the window. Waves of speckled light. Spill past the bulldozed fields you hang above, and ripple out to meet the walls of night.
Welcome back, Robert, to conclude.
Almost. I'd like to take the opportunity to express our thanks to Stephen Edgar. ESU has been privileged to have had Stephen as acknowledged by peers as the foremost exponent of formal verse poetry in Australia, as the esteemed judge of our inaugural formal verse contest. The knowledge that Stephen was to be the judge in this contest no doubt contributed significantly to attracting a cohort of high quality entries from across the poetic realm of today's Anglosphere. Thank you, Stephen, for your considered deliberations in judging and selecting the winning poems in this contest. And please accept this gift as a small token of our appreciation for your deliberations. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Margaret Berkeley, the ESU Secretary.
So as Robert indicated at the beginning, this is not only a celebration of the formal verse contest, and I congratulate the winners in their absence and thank the short list of poets who are here today, and thank all of the audience who's been part of this, including the esteemed judge, Stephen Edgar. But in recognition that this is the end of year function for the ESU, many of us might recall picnics in parks, barbecues, dinners or luncheons at hostelries in various locations around Melbourne. But today we're doing something different. And the end of year celebration is this occasion and the celebrations that will follow. To mark the end of the year for the ESU, I have two presentations to make. The first is to acknowledge that our Administrative Officer, Christian Noonan, has served with us full-time for a year, and we're delighted by his work, and we congratulate him on his achievements this year, and we would like to wish him and his family a very happy Christmas and a good new year. So Christian, may I present this to you? Come forward. The gift that we're presenting today is the wonderful new book that we've just published, that we've ventured into the world of publishing. And it's called In Bonds of Comradeship. It's the history of the first 100 years of this esteemed organisation. We're looking forward to the next 100, maybe. And the author of the research was our president, Robert Furlan, and he doesn't yet have a hard copy of the book. So to recognise his authorship and his leadership of the English-speaking Union's Victoria branch, I would like to present him on behalf of all of us as members and friends of the English-speaking Union with a hard copy of his own book. And before I ask Robert to conclude proceedings, I would like to let you all know that I think, as you've been advised, the paperback version of the book is available on a one-off special today for $25, cash or EFT, downstairs in the library after this presentation. Thank you.
In concluding the formalities of this presentation, I'd like to reiterate my thanks to Stephen Edgar, to Lucas Smith, to poets who were shortlisted and read their works today, Clarence Cadell and Alex Doothwaite. Thank you for your participation and your contribution and your interest. I also express my thanks to ESU council members for their work during the course of the year, in particular for supporting this inaugural formal verse contest, and also supporting a range of other cultural initiatives during the course of the year. I'd like to convey my particular thanks to ESU Secretary Margaret Berkeley and to our branch's administrative officer, Christian Noonan, for their roles in assisting Lucas Smith in organising and coordinating today's event. So thank you both very much. Thank you to all members and friends for your support during the year. And thank you to everyone here today attending this presentation. Best wishes to all for the festive season and looking forward to a fulfilling year in 2025. Now, please join me in celebrating the end of the year with refreshments downstairs. That concludes the presentation. Thank you.